Have you ever felt judged, pointed at, like your worst mistake was put on public display for everyone to see? Imagine that feeling, but 100 times worse. Imagine being dragged into the middle of a crowd, your accusers ready, stones in hand, waiting for the final word. This isn't just a story. It's a real, raw moment that happened 2,000 years ago, and it holds a powerful lesson for every single one of us today. The sun was likely beating down in the temple courtyard. Jesus was teaching, as he often did, when a commotion erupted. A group of scribes and Pharisees, the religious leaders of the day, shoved their way through the crowd. They weren't alone. They were dragging a woman with them. You can almost feel the tension, the silence, falling over the people as they witnessed this scene. John 8 verse 3 tells us, "The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, 'Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery.'" Their voices were probably dripping with self-righteousness. They had her, caught red-handed. The law was clear. According to the law of Moses, the punishment was stoning. They weren't just interested in justice for the woman, though. This was a trap, a carefully laid snare for Jesus. They continued, "Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" See the dilemma? If Jesus said, "Don't stone her," he would be accused of defying the sacred law of Moses. But if he said, "Stone her," where would his message of mercy, forgiveness, and love be? The compassionate teacher would be ordering a public execution. They thought they had him cornered. What would you do in that situation? The pressure is immense. A woman's life is on the line. Your own reputation is at stake. The crowd is watching, waiting. What does Jesus do? He doesn't yell. He doesn't argue. He does something completely unexpected. Verse 6 says, Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. Can you imagine the confusion? The accusers are standing there, stones in hand, ready for a verdict, and Jesus is doodling in the dirt? What was he writing? The Bible doesn't tell us. Some scholars speculate he was writing the sins of the accusers. Others think he might have been writing the very law they were quoting, reminding them of its full context. Maybe he was just buying time, letting the weight of their own questions sink in. The silence must have been deafening, broken only by the soft scratching of his finger in the dust. His quiet action forces everyone to pause. It shifts the focus. It takes the spotlight off the terrified woman and starts to shine it back on the accusers themselves. They were so eager, so ready to condemn. But Jesus' silence was a mirror. It forced them, maybe for the first time, to stop and look at themselves. They couldn't stand the silence. They pressed him again. "So, what do you say?" they demanded. Finally, Jesus stood up. He looked at them, not with anger, but with a piercing clarity that must have felt like it could see right through them. And then he spoke 7 of the most powerful words in history. In verse 7 he says, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." Wow, just let that sink in. He didn't abolish the law. He fulfilled it with a higher law, the law of mercy. He turned their own self-righteousness back on them. He basically said, "You want to be the judge? You want to carry out the sentence? Fine. But the prerequisite for being a judge is that you must be perfect yourself." Think about that in your own life. How often do we rush to judgment? We see someone make a mistake, we hear a piece of gossip, and we're so quick to form an opinion, to cast our own little stones of criticism, whether out loud or just in our own hearts. Have you ever done that? Have you ever judged someone for a struggle you knew nothing about, or for a sin that was no worse than your own hidden ones? Jesus' words challenge us to look inward first. Before you point the finger, look in the mirror. And what happened next? The Bible tells us, "But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones." Why the older ones first? Perhaps because they had lived longer. They had more life experience, more time to accumulate their own regrets, their own secret shames. They understood the weight of Jesus' words most acutely. The stones, once held with such confidence, were now heavy with hypocrisy. One by one, they dropped them and slipped away into the crowd, their trap completely dismantled. Soon, the courtyard was quiet again. The angry mob was gone. It was just Jesus and the woman. He was no longer writing on the ground. He stood up and looked at her. Imagine the fear she must have felt, now left alone with the one man who truly had the right to condemn her. He hadn't sinned. He was the only one in that whole crowd who could have picked up a stone. He asks her a gentle question in verse 10. "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" His tone wasn't one of accusation. It was an invitation, an opening for a new beginning. She looked around, and for the first time, she could probably breathe. "No one, Lord," she replied. And then comes the beautiful, life-altering conclusion of the story. Jesus says to her, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, sin no more." He offers her two incredible gifts in that single sentence. First, pardon. "Neither do I condemn you." The weight of her past, the shame, the guilt, it was lifted in that moment. He didn't excuse her sin, but he didn't define her by it. He offered her grace when she was expecting judgment. The second gift was purpose. Go, and from now on, sin no more. This wasn't a harsh command. It was an empowering call to a new life. He was saying, your past does not have to be your future. You are free. Now live in that freedom. Live a life that reflects this grace you've been given. He didn't just save her from death. He called her into a new way of living. This story is so much more than just a historical account. It's a living message for you and me. How many of us are carrying stones? Stones of judgment against our neighbors, our family members, even ourselves. We judge others for their political views, their parenting choices, their personal struggles. Jesus asks us today, are you without sin? He invites us to drop our stones of pride and judgment. And for those of us who feel like the woman, who are crushed by the weight of our own mistakes, who feel exposed and condemned, this story is for you. Jesus is looking at you right now, not with condemnation, but with compassion. He sees your shame, he sees your regret, and he says, where are your accusers? Neither do I condemn you. He offers you the same pardon and the same purpose, the grace to be forgiven and the strength to start anew. So the question for us today is this: who are you in this story? Are you one of the accusers, quick to point out the faults of others? Or are you the woman in desperate need of mercy? The truth is, we are all both. We all have moments of judgment, and we all have moments where we desperately need grace. This story teaches us to have the humility to drop our stones and the faith to accept His mercy. Let this story change how you see people. The next time you're tempted to judge, remember Jesus writing in the dust. And the next time you feel condemned by your own failures, remember His words. Neither do I condemn you. That is the heart of the gospel. That is the unconditional love that is available to every single one of us. Thank you so much for watching and reflecting on this powerful story with me. I hope it touched your heart as it always touches mine. If this message resonated with you, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And I want to create a community of prayer here. If you have an intention, a struggle, or someone you know who needs prayer, please leave a comment below. Let's drop our stones and lift each other up in prayer instead. God bless you.